Okay, everyone should be able to hear me. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I don't know if Zach can hear me. He was able to hear me a few seconds ago.
What do you mean? Of course I can.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Um, okay, I need you to just like randomly talk because I adjusted your level by accident. And so I need you to talk so I can adjust it back.
Right, well, there you go. Now I'm talking.
Oh, wait, you know
By
what?
request.
Okay, it wasn't yours that I changed, it was mine. Okay. I think.
Good job.
Well, so I have the scroll wheel, and when I was clicking on the audio devices to turn them back on, I hit my or I like messed with the scroll wheel. All right, we'll turn that up. Okay, I'm always a little bit quieter than you are. Something I can change. I just I'd have to like reach all the way over. I'll do it next week. Oh, so unprepared for the show. Anyway, well, I actually have topics ready, so that's probably the more important thing. How's everyone doing? How you doing?
Same as usual.
Okay. Only one person watching. I'm guessing Joe does not know that the show has started. So hang on. Okay, there we go. I sent him a message in Slack the other day and he didn't respond back to me because I don't think he really actually uses it. But anyway.
Probably not.
Well, we don't really talk to him much on there. It's like, it was funny because we said, like, hey, we talk on there all the time. He's like, well, I don't see it. It's because we always message in private messages. Anyway, so, ooh, okay. So I'm going to just get into this a little bit because I don't know a ton about it because I haven't had any chance to do, like, any research on anything. But, we'll see how, Under a Rock and, well, we'll see how under a rock Zach actually lives and how out of pop culture he is, I guess.
I don't. Why? Why you do this to me?
Because
I don't want to hear about that.
Zach, unfortunately for you, I know how to push your buttons and I know how to get certain reactions.
Well, you know, I think that this whatever this is that you have here is probably going to be dumb.
Maybe. Okay. Okay. Have you heard of a little YouTuber by the name of Logan Paul? Nope. There's only been like a ton of controversy about him lately in the world of YouTube.
Nope. I probably heard the name, but I think that's
I rest my case. I rest my case as to how out of sync Zach is with pop culture and the such.
Well, I don't care about.
Okay.
I don't care about YouTube or drama.
Okay.
So,
well, no. This is pretty significant because remember the whole like monetization changes and advertisement changes that are happening.
Maybe.
Well, this is partially due to this whole Logan Paul incident. Do you remember the whole? Some YouTuber shot a video in Japan of a suicide victim, and there were a lot of people that were upset. Do you remember hearing about all that controversy? That was Logan Paul that did all that and everything. And now I heard on Linus's channel that like YouTube is implementing like these new guidelines now where they can actually like they won't only like cut your because from my understanding what it used to be is that they would cut your monetization for like just that video. Now they're like cutting monetization for like all of your videos if you violate like the terms of service or the terms of service or whatever it is.
That seems.
Oh, and then it gets even. There's like one other thing that they're doing, and then there's like three parts. I can't remember what the second part is. The third part, this is really interesting. So if you violate the terms like so badly, they will actually not promote your content. So you know how like when you're watching a video on YouTube and then it gets over and then it like says like the recommendations and stuff like that? Yeah, so if you violate it enough, they will take that away. And for like a small channel like ours, which is like, you know, ours right now, like we would rely on that a lot. And even big channels kind of rely on that for, you know, you're watching a video and like, oh, hey, this looks interesting. And then, you know, somebody clicks on that video and that's like the whole kind of, well, it's like, it's the part of YouTube that makes it YouTube-ish? No. Anyway, but it's a major part of YouTube, and it's, you know, so without it, it's kind of like, what was the analogy that was given? It was like having a brick and mortar building, but like you're not allowed to like promote it online, and like all you have is like word of mouth traffic, basically. So anyway, and now I guess I saw something right before we started, like TMZ is doing some live thing about like YouTube is coming down on Logan Paul even harder right now or something like that. So, and I think he had like a few projects that were in the works that they've like canceled because of his actions lately. So anyway, so not really tech news, but in the world of like YouTube and things of that nature. So anyway, okay, so Spectre and Meltdown are back in the news.
Kind of.
You know what? I want you to reveal what's going on real quick here. So this affects...
And why me exactly, huh?
Because we need to get you more involved with the show instead of just like, you know, me taking the lead on everything.
That's my job. You don't like my job?
Well, no, I love your commentary and everything. Like,
well,
that's
do,
great.
So...
But I want you to be more involved with the show.
Well, that seems dumb, but all right.
Well, I want
Intel's getting sued 32 times.
Okay, and the thing is like, I want more input from you during the show. I want to hear more from you during the show. So that's why I'm doing that. But yes, Intel is being sued like 32 times, like Zach said.
Yes.
Over
you asked me to tell you what was happening, so I did, you know.
Over Spectre and Meltdown.
And a bunch of crap about insider trading.
We'll get to that. But that is interesting.
I don't really know anything about it,
well,
so I don't
know. Okay, from what I read in the article, and I could be wrong on this, it sounds like it has nothing to do with the whole Spectre Meltdown thing. At least that's what they're saying. Of course, you know, good PR, right? Well,
of course they'd say that. That sounds a lot like something that someone who's doing insider trading would say.
I gotta say, my rear end. Anyway, so 30 of the cases that have come with this lawsuit are proposed customers' class action suits claiming that they've been harmed by the flaws. I don't know exactly. I don't think the article actually really completely says what they're like saying the harm that was done is, but like, was it? I think we had a story a few weeks ago where like it was Meltdown or Spectre. One of the other ones, one or the other was causing like machines to not even post. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
So I wonder if that's part of that, like, you know, harm by flaws. Because, like, you know, if your computer's not even posting, it's a brick.
Your computer's not good for much then.
No, it's a brick. Like, posting is one of the most low-level things a computer does, and if it doesn't do that, you ain't getting into the OS. Like... Well, it has to post before it boots, though. Yeah, so it has to post before it boots. So, yeah, you're not getting into the OS, and your computer's not really useful at that point. It's not like, oh, you know, the OS is corrupt. No, like, it's not the OS. It's legit, like, parts of the computer that are actually important to be able to get to that step. I forget how all that actually works and stuff like that. Like, I think it does. I don't know. You might be better at this, but, like, it posts and then it, like, loads a bunch of stuff into, like, the kernel or something, and
no,
then
it
loads
boots. I forget all the details.
Pop quiz.
Honestly.
Pop quiz.
No, you can't do that.
Hey, what do you mean I can't do that? I'm the host.
Well, I don't know. You can't do it. Well, you can, but I'm not going to go along with you. How about that?
But that's your department. Well, actually, no, I take that back. That is not your department. You are hardware. I am software. I should know this, but
That's not really.
wait, what?
That's not. I mean, technically, I suppose it is, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not really either of us.
Let me.
Honestly.
Okay, this is how I feel about the tech world. And you can agree or disagree with me, but I feel like in the tech world, now there are going to be instances where a IT professional has to know both software and hardware. But my thing is in the IT world, I believe that you're either more of a software person or you're more of a hardware person. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I don't know. That's kind of a vague way of putting it.
Well, okay, so like the thing is like I know some
I sort of
hardware...
understand what you're talking about, but I don't think it's so black and white. There's way more things than just hardware and software.
That is true, but like...
What about different kinds of software, different kinds of hardware?
Okay, fine. I'm talking like, you know, when I say software, I mean like OS software and things like that. You know, the core functions of how the software works on a machine and those principles. So, you know, one thing I never understood, and you can either agree or disagree with me on this. So our course, our program that we're in, one of our required courses is to take programming. And here's my opinion on that, and that is this.
I mean, I don't know. It felt kind of basic to me.
Okay, you felt like it was basic.
Honestly.
I understand the concepts of programming.
I think that's probably the idea.
Then
that's probably the idea.
It's just the syntax that I don't understand. Is typing into the system what needs to be typed in order to get it to respond to do the things that it's supposed to do. That I don't understand. My opinion is that if you're going to go to school to be a programmer, you go to school to be a programmer. If you're going to go to school to support IT, you go to school to support IT things.
Well, it is good to have some kind of...
Okay, I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that.
But...
I don't think... So here's my opinion. I don't think we needed a whole course on it. I think a section on it to understand the concepts would have been okay. But that's just my opinion.
Maybe.
So...
I can see that.
Because, to be completely honest, I found it more frustrating than anything. Because it's like, I don't understand the concepts, and this is a required course that I have to take and then pass. And it was frustrating. So I would have much preferred a section on it and had that be a elective instead of like a full-blown course. But anyway, just my opinion. Me, I am not a programmer. I will let other people program for me. So, and my thing is like, any program that I need, for the most part, somebody's probably already made. Or I can hire somebody to do it if I really need that. But anyway. So, back to the lawsuits here and things like that. So, 2 more of these cases are security lawsuits that claim that Intel made misleading public statements, whatever the heck those were. And 2 further shareholder lawsuits were filed.
Yeah, I think those are the ones about the insider trading stuff.
I think
I
you're
don't know
right
anything
too.
about it, so you know the dude could be telling the truth.
He could be.
You know, maybe he wasn't doing insider trading. I don't know.
So,
but I just know that a lot of people think he was.
So the Spectre problem is a near universal issue, faced by modern processors on the market right now. Pretty much any processor on the market right now is vulnerable to Meltdown, right? No, Spectre. Meltdown only attacks Intel processors.
Yep.
Along with certain ARM designs that are coming to market shortly. Interesting. But per Intel's filing, so 30 of those proposed cases were customer class action suits, as we talked about. While Meltdown has effective workarounds, they come with some performance costs, as we've sort of kind of talked. We've mentioned it. I don't actually really know. What do we say? It's like 15 to 20% or something like that. I could be wrong on those numbers. I can't remember exact numbers. Do you remember?
Up to 30, I think.
Was it? Whoa.
It was pretty nuts.
Which might not.
That was worst case scenario.
That's worst case scenario, but okay, you may be sitting there like, oh, 30%. That doesn't sound that high. But when you're talking about like computer performance, that's high.
Actually. It very much is.
So workarounds for Spectre are more difficult and similarly can harm system performance. So both of them, it's kind of like, do you want to be vulnerable and have the performance, or do you want to be safe and cut performance? It's a catch-21. Catch-21, catch-22. Yeah. Catch-22, that's what it is, right?
That's what it is.
Anyway. So the other two cases, those are the security lawsuits that claim that Intel made misleading public statements during the 6-month period after the company was notified of the problems, but before the attacks were made public. Because that's the thing. And we've talked about this in the past before, too, and that is, I think a lot of the problem is that these companies knew that there was this big problem, and then it got leaked, so they're like, oh, crap. The public knows now, so we need to... So I think they were in the process of developing patches and things like that, but they weren't fully ready yet. They were like half-baked, and so when it got leaked, they were like, oh, well, we just need to finish these up and get them out. So, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think that's what happened. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's pretty much it. That would be my guess.
Because... I think if I remember, this caught a lot of people off guard. They were like, oh, crap. The public knows now. PR people. Am I wrong? I might be wrong, but I feel like that's what happened.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be too surprised if that's what happened.
Now, additionally, 3 further shareholder lawsuits were filed, claiming that Intel's board and corporate officers committed breach of duty in connection to the disclosure of the security flaws and failed to act in relation to alleged insider trading. In November last year, Intel CEO sold all the Intel stock he was allowed to sell. Pretty suspicious, if you ask me, and that's the way that it's looking too.
He said that it was a prearranged sale. That was his defense. I have no idea about the legitimacy of that claim.
The stock sale has provoked speculation about insider trading. Like you said, he says that they were unrelated to security issues, or to the security issues. The company's filing notes the further lawsuits around these issues are likely, and that due to the early stages of these suits, there's no estimate of what losses, if any, may arise as a result. Let's go back to the what's the word I'm looking for? The allegations of the insider trading. That's what I'm looking for. So, anyone who has a basic understanding of the stock market, okay, hang on. So, what do you know about the stock market, Zach? Probably not much. But you know enough to know that when things are good, stock prices generally go up.
Well, okay, I know enough to understand, what he's being accused of. He's being accused of selling the stocks before these allegations went public while the prices of the stock were still higher.
Exactly.
Because if these allegations, or not these allegations, the Spectre and Meltdown stuff would go public, then the stock price would go down, and then his stock value would go down, so he's better like, well, I better get rid of it.
Yeah,
and
that's what makes it so suspicious. That's
why everyone's accusing him of insider trading.
So it was, quote unquote, conveniently timed. I don't know. Maybe he is telling the truth, but and okay, this is stereotyping, like at its hardest right now, but corporate people, not all corporate people are bad, but if society has taught us anything, corporate people are pretty sneaky. Pretty sneaky.
They are awful.
It's
most of the time.
It's how can I make a bunch of money, and well, how can I make the most amount of money? And again, okay, like I know I am stereotyping really, really hard here.
That's not stereotyping. That would be generalizing.
Or generalizing. Thank you. I'm generalizing really, really hard here. But
you are.
I mean, come on.
I kind of agree.
Come on. Well, and okay, it's the social culture that we live in these days too, because it's what we see. We see a lot of it.
All we see is corporations doing horrible things, like, and screwing people. Well, that's not all we see, but it's a lot of what we see.
Exactly, it is a lot of what we see.
I mean, it's not to say that they're all bad, because I mean, you
no,
know,
exactly.
We see,
sometimes
we see companies do legitimate things,
right? Well, and corporate people.
We also, and yeah, corporate people.
Well, okay, let's look at Bill Gates.
I gotta say, corporate people.
Well, okay, like I'm generalizing, like
I get the idea. I get what you're talking
corporate
about. I just think
people.
Kind of...
But like, okay, look at somebody like Bill Gates. Okay, he has all this money from Microsoft, yet he's trying to do, he's donating it to a lot of organizations and things like that. So you're right. Not all big corporate top dogs are, sneaky, greedy people. But again, the culture that we live in, and the mainstream media has kind of, put those thoughts into our heads. So anyway.
I don't think it wouldn't be mainstream media.
Well, okay, maybe not mainstream media, but like
the mainstream media are oftentimes those same corporations
that is true.
Talk bad about.
I mean, I guess just the culture that we live in, I guess, then has, put those thoughts into our minds, I guess.
And shown us what bad things greedy corporations can do.
Yeah, and then it's funny when things blow up in their face. Equifax. Like, I have not heard anything more. Like, does Equifax even still exist?
I haven't heard about that in a while either. But
like, I wonder if they.
It was funny, I suppose.
Well, I'm
that,
sure.
They. I thought it was funny that they even tried to defend themselves after some of those revelations, such as their awful password bracket.
Yeah, exactly. Admin password.
Like, hello?
Okay.
Have you ever...
Like, on a side note, it was for something to do with customer service, like customer service records, but still, like, come on. Like, so it wasn't,
really
it wasn't totally sensitive data, which, we have a story about sensitive data coming up in the show in a little bit, so.
Oh, we do? Yeah, another breach.
I think the last breach we
one.
talked about on this show was either Pizza Hut or
Oh,
Forever
it might have been
21.
Pizza Hut, yeah.
Or Forever 21. The
I
clothing
think it
store.
was Pizza Hut.
No, you know what? I think it was
I
Pizza
think
Hut.
it was
No, I think it was Forever 21. I think Pizza Hut was the week
sure?
previous to that.
You might be right. I don't know.
I think it was because we made fun of them again. I
Well,
think.
whatever it was, those two, we made fun of them. I think, yeah, we make fun of pretty much everybody who has a data breach because it's just always the dumb reasons. Like
It is
they
always
just have
dumb
the worst
reasons
for these things to happen. Like, they used admin password. I don't.
Oh,
Or
man.
some idiot got phished by a hacker.
Okay, so
It's just
I got an email.
things that should be so easy to avoid.
Yeah, exactly. So I got an
And
email.
yet people still end up getting their data stolen.
Okay, you know what?
I don't
Okay,
know.
hang on. Let
It's
me
always
go
the
back
easier.
on something real quick here, though.
It almost makes Target and their HVAC system look like a grand complicated heist of data compared to, you know, just typing in admin password. Oh, hey, we got the data.
All right, so you're talking about like big corporate. I thought you were talking about like average consumers, but yeah, you're right. Okay, average consumers get phished all the time. And here's the thing that I have to say about that though, is that like okay, for us, right? So not only did we grow up in the digital era, you know, we've always pretty much had computers around. We grew up with them. We grew up with the internet and things like. Well, I mean, the internet's been around for a while, but you know, like that's just our culture. We're you know, but also being on the tech end of things, I think we look at things a little bit more. Well, we look at things more technical and we understand the ins and outs of the tech world. I think a little bit more than say your average consumer, who is like, "Oh, hey, this looks interesting."
Hey,
Click.
you'd think that someone who is okay. Well, hold on a sec. I mean, first of all, Joe Schmo in accounting probably shouldn't have access to some of this data, right?
You're right. You're right.
So if he gets phished,
some of it falls on.
why would the hacker have access to some of this data? It's
Yeah.
just some random employee were to get phished. Like, you know, you'd think that not all of the employees are going to have access to this data. Surely the people who have access to this data have a little more common sense.
Some of this falls on. In that case, some of that falls on your IT administrators. You know, they should be, you know, implementing, shall we say, best practices.
Yes.
So here's.
Or also just, how about just general, like, education, common sense? You know, I think that that's not something that should be restricted to people that sit at computers for a living.
Security by obscurity.
No. No, 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 no. That does not work.
I think the problem is that people are like, "Ooh, hey, this isn't gonna happen to me," and you know, and
It'll happen to someone else.
yeah, exactly, until it happens to you, and then you're like, "Oh."
I'm guilty of that sometimes.
I think we are all guilty of that. But going back to, you know, this whole idea of, you know, Joe Schmo having access to the things that he probably shouldn't have. Again, IT administrators should be implementing best practices into the.
What's the word? Not the word, the term. A need to know basis.
Yeah,
Joe Schmo in accounting should only have access to things he needs to do his job in accounting.
Yeah, okay, so here's a great example. So we have a shared like space drive at my place of employment, and within that shared drive are folders for different departments. I can only access the folders for my department. So I can't access you know what is
That's
it?
probably
Like,
good.
I can't access sales and stuff like that because I don't need access to that stuff. You know, those are good
Well, that
practices.
sounds boring. I wouldn't even want access to sales.
Well, you know, sales numbers, things like that. You know, to a hacker, you know, there might be some valuable stuff in there.
I don't think a hacker really wants access to sales either, but there might be something else in there.
No, but you know,
hackers have
invoices
access
and
to.
things like that, and there might be, you know,
Okay, maybe you're right.
customer data.
There
things
could
like
be
that.
sensitive information
Yeah, exactly.
on there. Well, you know, in any case.
Yeah.
So
in
if
any
you
case,
got fish, they wouldn't get access to everything. Good.
I have
That's
access to the engineering stuff though, because I'm technically part of the engineering department. However, that oddly works, so they might get like some software kind of stuff. Oh, back to what I was gonna say. So, I got an email from our main guy that does like he's the assistant chief engineer, but he does more of the computer side stuff. And so I got an email from him. We use Microsoft services for like email. So I guess there's a phishing scam going around right now where like you'll get like an email that says you need to reset your Outlook password, and then of course you click on the link to reset it.
I have never had Outlook ever tell me I need to reset my password. So,
well, we're talking like the online platform.
I know. I'm talking about the online platform because
okay.
the online one is the only one I've ever used.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think that would be a little strange, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm debating whether I want to. You know what? We're gonna run through this real quick, I think. So Apple says the iPhone crash bug will be fixed before iOS 11.3 comes out.
There's an iPhone crash bug, is there? Did we talk about this? I think we did.
No, we talked about iBoot. Well, actually, we might have talked about a little bit of this. I don't remember.
I know we talked about iBoot, yes.
But, so Apple plans to address the bug before iOS 11.3 is released this spring. Which... Okay, no, I guess we have it because this bug was actually just discovered earlier this week.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we didn't then.
Yeah, so... Okay, this is interesting. It involves sending an Indian language character to devices that then crashes them. So...
Oh, so let me guess. The devices don't support using that character.
That could possibly be. Or it's just like, yeah, that might be actually what it is. Like, hey, what is the... Oh, boink. And then it just, like,
okay, let's see. Indian? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's in some Indian language. Telugu?
Oh, okay.
Do you want to take a stab at that?
No.
Please? Okay. Please?
Nope. Not.
Oh, come on. Take one for the team.
You already took one for the team. So
I took two, so go!
No thanks.
Oh, come on, Zach.
Well, anyway, that seems kind of... Haha, Apple. Nice job.
So it makes apps like Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and WhatsApp inaccessible. Do people really use WhatsApp in, like, say, America? I know it's big in, like, China. I've heard of it.
I thought it was illegal in China now because it has encryption.
Does it?
Or maybe there's a special Chinese version with no encryption.
No, because okay, we had a story a few weeks ago, or like maybe last month, about how they were going to start like issuing state-issued IDs using WhatsApp.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know. I feel like okay. I must have been wrong.
It might be in like a Korea, like might be Korea or something like that.
I'm pretty sure just about everything is illegal in North Korea that we have here. So I don't
know. But it also affects Safari and the built-in Messenger app on macOS and the Apple Watch. Now, Apple plans to release an update soon that will address the bug before spring. And if you are a beta, like, software tester, the new beta updates already have patches for all this. But Apple also experienced issues with an iOS 11 bug in December that crashed iPhones. This is what you're probably thinking of. And the company took the usual steps of issuing a significant iOS update just hours took the unusual step, I should say, of issuing a significant iOS update just hours after the bug started occurring. Now, last month, a single link could freeze an iPhone, but Apple was able to resolve it with the release of iOS 11.2.5, and back in 2015, a tiny string of text disabled iMessenger, and a year later in 2016, a 5-second video crashed iPhones. Apple is reportedly focusing on reliability and performance in iOS 12 over new features, so we should hopefully see less of these issues in the future. Real quick before we move on, because I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but what do you think about... Now, I know how you feel about Apple, and viewers of the show will know how you feel about Apple, but what do you think about... So set the whole Apple thing aside, what do you think about them making the decision to focus on reliability over new features? What do you think about that?
You know, honestly, I always thought that reliability was already a pretty top priority for them.
You know what? I did too. I
They
think it
they
is.
tend to make sure that things are really seamlessly working before anybody sees it.
Of course, not everything always goes to plan, as seen in some of the keynote speeches. But, I mean, one thing Apple has going for them is that one of their computers is never blue screened while doing one.
I guess that's a plus, yeah.
Do you remember? Have you seen that video?
What, the Microsoft one?
Yeah, it's like way back, like Windows 95. Like they're about to do
Yeah,
a
I've
demo
seen
and
that
then it goes to a blue screen. And I think Bill Gates is just like, well, that's why it's not released yet.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
That's like almost as bad. Like Volvo was working on because like self-driving cars are like the new thing now. But I guess they were doing a demo and like the car crashed.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
Like, oops. Like, yeah.
That is not gonna make you look good.
But anyway, okay, so what do you think of their decision to focus on performance instead of new features?
I thought that was already a top priority for them, so I'm kind of surprised that they're making a point of mentioning it, I guess. I don't...
Okay. I mean, new features are always nice, but I think it doesn't matter. You have to have that reliability there before, because, okay, fancy new buttons. Okay, cool, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't work. So, and I'm sure you would agree with me on that, right, Zach?
Yes.
So, anyway, yeah, let's do this. Microsoft news time. That's always so weird because you can't hear the stinger, can you?
No.
So Windows 10 is getting an ultimate performance mode, but only for power users. So sorry, you can't take advantage of this.
So why does there need to be an... I don't know. That's kind of that whole statement kind of confuses.
Okay, so Windows 10 is going to be getting an ultimate performance mode, but it's only going to be for power users. Silly. So you have to be a power user in order to. So you have to have like a workstation in order for it to work.
What makes you a power user exactly?
Somebody who has a workstation.
Okay, but what makes what?
Okay, fine. Okay,
what
so
do you mean?
You know what? Let's just get into it, okay? So Microsoft is adding a new power scheme to Windows 10 Pro for workstations. Now, what
defines a workstation?
That is a good
what
question.
Makes your computer a workstation?
That is a good question. I have a task for you. Find out what that means, please.
Okay. Not really what I had in mind.
Anyway, so while you're doing that, I'm going to read this. So Microsoft is adding a new power scheme to Windows 10 Pro for workstations, enabling power users to get more out of their machines. So more performance. I think. Anyway, so the new mode will be available in the next Windows 10 update, expected to be released in March or April. It's designed for power users with high-performance workstations and will include special power management features to ensure performance is at best, is as best as a system will allow. Okay, that's worded really weird. But basically, so I guess the idea behind it is to make a system perform as... help, what are the words I'm looking for? As oh man, I'm having issues here. What word am I trying to spit out? Perform the best that it can, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Anyway, I don't know what I'm looking for anymore. Anyway, so yeah. So it's meant to make it run the best that it possibly can. The new policy builds on the current high-performance policy, and it goes a step further to eliminate micro-latencies associated with fine-grained power management techniques. Whatever the heck that means. As the power scheme is geared towards reducing micro-latencies, it may directly impact hardware and consume more power than the default balanced plan. But you're just looking for the best performance. There we go. That was the word I was looking for. The best performance that you can get out of your computer or your workstation. Did you happen to find what they mean by workstation? Like what constitutes a workstation?
Heck no, I didn't even look.
What the heck? I guess I'm not surprised, but
Eh.
I know you so
I didn't
well.
want to know that bad.
That's not the point. I wanted to know because it adds more to the story.
Well, you told me to look it up, so.
Okay,
Well,
fine.
whatever.
Well, okay, fine. Would you please look it up? Is that better?
I mean, I honestly, I don't think I could find it. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Look, what is Microsoft's definition of a workstation? That's not going to get me anywhere, is it?
I don't know. Ask Mr. Google.
Well, yeah, but I like to think I'm okay at Google, but I don't think Google will have that answer for me.
Oh.
Because if that's getting into the territory where you're Googling something that's your search ends up being so long that you don't get what.
I can't type. What are qualified? Let's see.
In fact,
here.
you know what? I would bet that there is some kind of identifier within. Oh, no, you know what? I bet I figured it out. Okay, let's see. So I'm willing to bet that it can look at like the motherboard chipset.
That might make sense. That might make
Because
sense.
there are specific motherboards that are designed for workstations. It can probably tell.
Okay. So
Or-
we don't know for sure, but that makes sense. That makes
Seems
sense.
reasonable.
That makes a lot of sense.
And just the motherboard model. It might be able to tell just by the model of the motherboard itself, not just the chips.
That makes a lot of sense. Anyway, so as I said, so this new policy builds on the current high performance policy. Again, basically, TLDR, the idea behind it is to get the most performance out of your system. They are saying, though, that by doing that, it could render your system less energy efficient, shall we say? But you may or may not care about that. So, anyway, Microsoft is not enabling this on battery-powered systems. So, do they make, like, workstation laptops? I guess I can see that.
They do, but I don't think they're too common.
Right? Normally when you think of a workstation, you normally think of, like, a desktop computer.
Yeah, well, I do believe workstation laptops do exist, and
yeah. So this feature is only going to be available on high-end workstations. So this option
yeah, it's
won't be...
probably going to look at the chipset, or it's going to be a component that's prepackaged with a OEM installed operating system.
Okay. Because the option won't be available broadly across Windows 10 either. It's for Windows 10 Pro workstations, so you won't be able to enable it on a gaming machine. Sorry, Zach.
There's probably there will probably be a workaround as well.
Well,
I'm
there's
sure.
game mode for Windows 10.
Oh well, that's a joke.
What? Okay, what does it even do? Because I don't game.
I don't know what it does. I have no clue what it does. Good question. What does it do? I don't know.
We should test that out and make a video on that.
I don't know what it does.
Well, you should test it out. Let me know.
I'm sure it's
Zach
worthless.
didn't know he was getting homework for this week on the Ram Show.
I don't. Implying I intend on doing it. Well, first of all, I already can pretty reasonably assume that it's useless. There are countless so-called gaming enhancement software programs out there, you know? And spoiler, they're all pretty bad unless you are working with a very low-end machine. Very low-end machines can sometimes see some improvement.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So Microsoft first introduced Windows 10 Pro for workstations last year, and it is primarily designed for server-grade PC hardware and power users. So there you go. Windows 10 Pro for workstations scales up for machines with a high number of logical processors and large amounts of RAM, and includes faster file support and low latency options for network adapters. So interesting. So that's the thing that's happening with Microsoft. Oh, in related news, so Office 2019, right? The brand new shiny, Office that's coming out. I'm not exactly sure when. Yeah, it will only run on what operating system? Take a wild guess.
It's not a guess. I already know.
Okay, so what is it?
Could it possibly be Windows 10?
Ooh, yeah. So if you want to upgrade to Office 2019, you better be running Windows 10, otherwise it's not going to work.
Well,
do you see this
so
as
what exactly is the difference between Office 2019 and any other version of Office? Because generally, anytime I use a new version, I end up wondering what the heck's the difference other than shiny new aesthetic.
Okay, so Linus had this question. I don't see it much on the Windows platform, but that's probably because I don't actually use many Microsoft products actually all that often. Most of my work is done online in Google Docs and things like that, which is kind of the way I'm starting to go for a lot of things, just because of the easeability.
I don't use it often either, but every time I see a new version, it just looks like a shiny new version.
Okay, thank you. So that's what Linus was getting into. He's like, and I notice this on my Mac whenever I open up or Microsoft products. It's like, oh, there's new updates to do. What do the updates actually do?
There's only so much that they can do. It seems
right.
I don't know. It's a word okay. Take MS Word, it's a word processor. Yeah. What else is there to do?
But the bigger question is, and the question that Linus had and I have is, what do the updates actually do?
There's probably some more advanced features that maybe some people use that I don't have a clue about, that maybe see, additions or improvements. I don't know. Whenever I use MS Word, it's just to do some basic typing.
I will say
boring.
I will say this. There have been some improvements to some of the applications from 2012 or from Office 2010 to Office 2016 and even 2013. But for a long time there wasn't really and there are small changes. There's oh hey, PowerPoint got some new transitions and things like that. But other than that, the products are pretty much the exact same products. So, honestly, if I'm being honest, I think that the whole idea that Office 2019 will only work on Windows 10 is a complete heap of bull. I think what it is it's another way that Microsoft is trying to lock people into using Windows 10.
I don't see the point. Why would somebody install Windows 10 just for this?
I don't know. Well, you know what it might be?
No clue why someone would install Windows 10 just for MS Office 2019.
Hang on. I could see
that
this.
Seems like a waste of time.
I could see this.
But I will say, though, that they are kind of, what's the word? They keep adding and adding and adding to the list of programs that can only be run on Windows 10. So eventually, yeah, there is going to be a case to get Windows 10 because, well, look at all these programs that are now only available on Windows 10 because Microsoft wants to make sure that everyone has Windows 10 whether they like it or not.
Well, okay. If we look at the OS adoption rates, I haven't checked them for a while, but if I'm going to go off of what the adoption rates were when I made a graphic last, the most widely used operating system was, take a wild guess.
Windows.
Which version of Windows? Which version of Windows? It is Windows, but which version of Windows?
7?
Yes. So Windows 7 is still one of the most widely used operating systems on the market in terms of the market share right now. Now, what are the majority of... So, the majority of those installations are on what kind of... Okay, fine. I'm trying to phrase it to get you to say it, but I'm just going to say it anyways because I'm making it way too complicated. The majority of those installations are on business-related computers. Businesses are running...
Yeah, that's... Yes.
Are running
because
Windows
businesses...
7.
Oh, okay. I get where you're going with this.
Yes!
You're trying to say that Microsoft want businesses to upgrade to Windows 10.
I think that's part of it.
I shouldn't say upgrade. Switch to Windows 10 because it's not necessarily an upgrade.
I think that is part of their grand scheme. So, if the majority of our my place of employment, we are using Windows 7 on like 99% of our machines, except for a few machines that are still running Windows XP and one that's still running Windows 2000. Yeah. It's actually amazing that computer still runs. Anyway. So...
Yeah, you talked about that.
Yeah. Like, no lie, legit, one computer is running Windows 2000. No lie. And it still works. For the one thing that we actually deal with it. But anyway. So, yeah. So, in a business setting, you know, a big corporate, you know, building or whatever, corporate office, you know, the office building, a majority of those companies are using what suite of productivity software?
I have no clue.
Microsoft Office.
Oh, yeah, okay. I know that. I don't know what version.
Well, no, but that's the... Well, I would imagine most of them are running either 2013, somewhere between 2010 and 2016, I would imagine.
I would agree with you.
And so the thing is that the idea, I think, is that, you know, 2019 is here. It's the latest and greatest. Get the new features that are in it. And I feel like a lot of companies are probably like... Because even the campus, we're using 2013 there. So, you know, I think in a lot of cases, a company is going to use a piece of software until it no longer is either supported or functional enough for the environment that it's being used in.
Well, they got to get their money's worth out of it, I guess.
But again, moving forward, so the idea is that Microsoft knows that a lot of these companies are still on Windows 7. So I think that idea is that, you know, when they upgrade, you know, because let's face it, you know, Office 2010 is getting to the end of its life cycle. So any business that's running that right now, they're gonna, probably be looking to upgrade here soon, and they're gonna be like, oh, well, 2019 is offered, and then they're gonna be like, oh, we have to upgrade to Windows 10. So anyway, and that's what I think is partially behind this. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's where I think it's kind of going. I don't know. You can see that, can't you?
Kind of.
So I think it's partially to get some users on there, but it's to, I think it's more that mentality of, businesses are the ones that are buying the majority of the licenses for things like that, and then, getting those people to move to Windows 10. So anyway. So data breaches. So there's another company, one that you might not expect. And when we tell you what it is, you might be like, what? Because they're not really. I wouldn't call this company a tech company, would you?
No.
But mountains of sensitive customer data have been exposed, and possibly for years, by this company. Zach, what is it?
FedEx.
Yes, FedEx. You know those people that are responsible for running around and delivering packages to your door? Yeah. So passports, driver's licenses, and other sensitive documents were left online in an unsecured Amazon bucket that was taken down on Wednesday. So it's been up all this time. I need to actually pull up the story here, because my notes will only get me so far. But researchers found 119,000 scanned documents stored in a publicly available Amazon S3 bucket. Shall we reiterate the publicly available? Publicly available. Like,
that is a mistake.
Yeah, just a little. Just a little.
Just a bit of a mistake, yeah.
So they were in a blunder that left the information available to identity thieves and other malicious actors, researchers said Thursday. In all, researchers found 119,000 scanned documents stored in a publicly available Amazon S3 bucket. The photo ID scans were accompanied by completed U.S. Postal Service forms that included names, home addresses, and phone numbers of people who requested to have mail delivered by an authorized agent. Like, okay, having your phone number, your home address, and like your name on file online, like, okay, let's be honest, there are a lot of places that you can get that. But like, for a company like FedEx who is handling this data, that should be secured. Even that data. And that's not even including, again, the sensitive documents like passports and driver's licenses and things like that. Okay, like, having your driver's license on file and like having somebody be able to access it, that's bad. But like, a passport, I think, is even worse.
Yep.
Like, oh goodness. Is security really this hard? Like, that's what I don't understand. And every time this happens...
Well, it must be.
Every time this happens, I find myself just sitting here, like, really? 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 Like,
this kind of falls under the common sense thing that we were talking about earlier, I think.
Yeah, like, really, the only words I have are, like, really? Come on, guys. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, sensitive data. Like, there is no excuse for this, is there? There's absolutely no excuse for this. Anyway, it's appalling. If you, like, when you really think about it, it is appalling. But the photo ID scans, I already read that. So citizens from all over the world left their scanned IDs. So from Mexico, Canada, EU countries, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Japan, Malaysia, China, Australia, just to name a few. So those were like, that's like pretty much the entire world-ish. But the data initially was gathered by Bongo International, a company that helped North American retailers and brands sell online to consumers in other countries, the researchers said. Now, FedEx acquired Bongo International in 2014 and eventually changed its name to FedEx Cross Border International. Now, FedEx shut down the service last April. The discovery of the customer IDs and other personal information suggests that not only was the information never properly secured to begin with, but FedEx officials failed to purge the data once the service was discontinued. So, like, wouldn't that have probably been the first thing you would have checked? Like, I don't understand how this happens. Zach, explain to me how this happens.
Careless? I don't know.
Like, there's absolutely no reason this should happen. Like, oh my goodness. Oh man. Okay, like, this is not much better, but at least Equifax had a login system. As, you know, as easy as it was to bypass it, at least there was a login system. Like, you know? Okay, there might as well...
Part of me hopes they get sued for this, honestly.
Like, there might as... Okay, in the case of Equifax, there might as well not have been a login system, but still, at least it was, you know, behind a login. This was just sitting out there in the open for anybody to find. And anyone who knows how the internet works knows that it's not relatively hard to find information if you want to find it. Especially when it's out in the open. Like, okay, these people that do this stuff, like, they're good at, like, you know, figuring out how to get into things. It's like, but that's the thing. When it's out in the open, it's just like, oh, hey, here. It's like, you know what it is? It's like the equivalent of hanging a sign on your house and being like, rob me. What, would you say that's a pretty good analogy?
Yeah, pretty much. Kind of, I guess. I don't know.
Like, okay, like, at least make them go through some, like, you know, some loopholes before, you know, letting them into the data. Things like that. At least
make them work for it.
Yeah, exactly. But Thursday's Post, Thursday's Poach. Thursday's Post said researchers made attempts to get in touch with FedEx via FedEx cross-border merchant customer support line and emails. Now, the researchers said that they didn't succeed until Tuesday when ZDNet reporter Zach Whitaker began contacting FedEx officials. The unsecured Amazon bucket was taken down on Wednesday. But theoretically, this has... so the data has been available since 2009. 2009! And we're in...
Ouch,
so that's almost a decade. Almost. Not quite, but almost a decade. And, okay, just think about how much data is there. Like, how much data is collected.
In there, and how long it could have been open to take. Pretty much.
Well, it's been open to take for almost a decade, according to this. So in a statement, FedEx officials wrote, after a preliminary investigation, we can confirm that some archived Bongo International account information located on a server hosted by a third-party public cloud provider is secure. Okay. The data was part of a service that was discontinued after our acquisition of Bongo. We have found no indication that any information has been misappropriated and will continue our investigation. So that sounds like typical PR mumbo-jumbo.
There is no evidence that anything has been stolen, because I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either. Don't believe that for 1 second. Again, as we've talked about, you know, people that want to find this information, okay, let's take, you know, that group that hacked Target through the HVAC system. Like, they're smart enough to figure out how to do that stuff. If it's out in the public, like, if it's out
Surely
there
they're
publicly,
smart enough to figure out how to, you know, reach out and take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's pretty much what's happening.
So that whole statement about how nothing has been stolen, I don't believe that at all. By the way, the data was part of a service that was discontinued after our acquisition. But so it's like they're trying to pass it off on the other company. But when you acquired them, all of that intellectual property became yours. So yeah. I just, ugh. Like, I don't even have words for this. It's just like, really? How does this keep happening?
Well, hopefully they get sued into oblivion for it, because that is absolute stupidity. And anyone whose data was stolen has every right to be upset at them.
Yeah, so people who have used Bongo International or FedEx Cross Border International should be on alert. The incident is a good reason why people should avoid turning over personal information when practical. One thing that so reading the story makes me think about this, and that is, do you think people have gotten too trusting of companies that when they provide their data, it's secure?
If anything, their trust in companies has probably gone down, but
well, now that these breaches are here, but
yeah, with all of these breaches, I don't know, maybe that might be part of the problem. I'm not sure.
I'm not gonna lie, because, like, you know, I use PayPal and you know, certain websites I have you know, payment information stored and things like that. And I guess my thing is that I just trust that these companies are going to that they have practices in place to keep that data secure, that sensitive data secure. But I don't know. Like, do I need to go to all these websites now and, like, delete all that information now?
Good luck deleting it. It's probably cached somewhere.
Right? Just call the bank. Yeah, I need a new card. I need a new debit card. Because, yeah. That would probably really be the only way to actually, like, secure that. But
crazy.
I just, like, what did you think was gonna happen? You know? It's like, here, you know, here's the sensitive data that you know people want because they sell it or use it for legal reasons. Like, let's just make it easier for you to get it. Like, oh, goodness. So yeah, no, you're right. I hope that they get their rear end suit off because, like, what is it gonna take for companies to realize that they're like, oh, hey, we actually need to secure our sensitive data? Like, okay, so in the short history that the Ram Show has been on, we've talked about Equifax, we've talked about Pizza Hut, we've talked about Forever 21. We mentioned that like 1+1 had like some credit card breach, I think. Now FedEx. So yeah, so that's 5 right now. 5 companies. Oh goodness. Oh man. Is this what we have to look forward to in the future? Like the future of our
I
data?
don't know.
Like, oh man. Okay. Let's move on to some more lighthearted news and our final topic for this week. So you don't use Google Chrome, but maybe possibly another. Well, nah, you still wouldn't use Google Chrome. But Google Chrome has now implemented an ad blocker into it, and it was enabled on Friday. I have not checked for
Interesting,
any.
and I'm sure it conveniently allows all Google ads.
Wow. Okay.
That
We'll get into that in a second. So it's actually, you know what? We'll get into it right now. So it's designed to weed out some of the web's most annoying ads, pushing web owners to stop using them. So it's more of like a protest kind of thing, I think.
I suppose, but I don't know. I mean,
So
I indiscriminately hate ads, and here's the issue: is that Google just so happens to be one of the largest advertisers out there. So, well, that's still a lot of ads that I'm seeing if I'm using Google Chrome.
yeah. Oh goodness. What the heck is going on with this? There we go. Hey, there it goes. Man, that was being dumb. So yeah, so not all ads are going to be blocked. Only ads that violate standards set forth by the Coalition for Better Ads. I did not actually read through what those are, but anyway. So full page ads, ads with auto-playing sound and video, and flashing ads will be targeted. Now,
Well, those things are horrible, so good.
Google is being more aggressive about its mobile ad blocking than anything else. I don't know if you have the article open, but anyway, so here's what they are theoretically going to be blocking. So on the desktop platform, it's going to be pop-up ads. Let's see, ads with countdowns. Oh, okay. So those lovely ads that are like, here, wait this many seconds before you can go on to reading what you were.
Those are dumb.
Let's see. The auto-playing video ads with sound and large sticky ads. So the ones that like pop up and just like stay there. So, but yeah, so on the mobile side, excuse me. So pop-up ads will be blocked. Let's see. The giant ads that come up over the stories, like that fill the entire page, those are going to be blocked. Auto-playing video ads. The full screen ads that have let's see. So the ads that have countdowns, flashing animated ads, large sticky ads, full screen scroll over ads. So yeah, and then what do I have on the next slide here? If it wants to actually cooperate. Maybe. Oh, yay. When things decide that they don't want to cooperate. Like, man. Oh, okay, that's what this next graphic is. All right. So we'll get into that in a second here. So Google is being more aggressive about so they're blocking ads on both platforms, so the mobile and the desktop versions, but they're being more aggressive on like your mobile platform, so on your phone. Which might be a tactical thing, because a lot of people are now using their, how many people surf the web on a mobile device? Like, some people don't even have computers. Like, the only devices that they have for any online engagement are their cell phones, or their mobile platforms. So I can see maybe why they'd be focusing more on that. So Google is going to be evaluating sites based on the better ad standards, and ratings for sites will either be pass, warning, or failing. And then site owners can access those ratings using an API system that I'm sure will be implemented somehow into your site through, HTML, or well, not HTML code, but code and things like that. So yeah. Now, why this is a feature, I'm not exactly sure, but users can unblock the ads if they want. That one puzzles me a little bit.
Yes, I too enjoy viewing ads, so I'm just gonna turn them on when I have a choice. Right, okay. Especially those obnoxious ones. Those are the best. I'm gonna extra unblock those. Big thumbs up. Okay. Right.
But amid the ad blocker, the aim of the ad blocker, is to improve web ads. So 42% of sites that were failing have actually already resolved issues already, and ads are filtered at the network level. So they're going to be like filtered out before like the page even like in the loading stage, I guess, kind of thing, at the domain level. So, yeah. So like wherever that ad is being served from, like that's where it's going to be blocked. So it's not just like, oh, hey, here's an ad. Let's get rid of it. Like it'll actually block that portion, so it won't even load at all. So that's kind of an interesting little thing there. But yeah, so they've got the screenshot here. So it'll tell you, the ads are being blocked on the site and things like that, which I guess is kind of a cool thing. But anyway, I guess all I really have on this is like, hey, this is a new thing that's coming out. It's kind of cool. I thought there was going to be way more to talk about on this, but it's getting to be, of course, to the end of the show, and I'm getting tired of talking. So final thoughts on this, Zach?
Nope.
Okay. My final thoughts on this is that I think this is kind of a cool idea, and I think the aim of it is to try to that might have actually gotten an update. Anyway, okay. But I think the aim of it is to try to get websites to stop using those particular types of ads, which is a great thing.
Well, that's always a good thing, except for you could just use ad block and then, not really have anything to worry about.
Yeah, but not everyone's going to do that, so.
That's what I prefer.
Anyway, so, all right. With that being said, I am going to go ahead and end this episode of The Ram Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I think we went really, really long today. So, anyway, if you enjoyed it, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Yeah, comment below if you have comments. And we'll see you next week here on The Ram Show. Bye!